Heat is a special consonant. Let's continue to study how heat works as a 받침. Heat has four important roles as a 받침. On my previous video, we studied first two, and we're gonna study the rest of them today. When heat 받침 meets a following new sound consonant, what does it mean? Here are sample syllable structures to make it clear. But these can be other structures as long as the first syllable has a 받침. The second one as well, it can be any syllable structures like this, or even have a 받침, of course. What we're gonna study today is a 히읗 받침 with the following new sound consonant. When 히읗 받침 meets the following new sound consonants, the sound of 히읗 changes to new sound consonant as well, like this. First syllable has a 히읗 받침 and it's followed by new sound consonant. So 히읗 받침 changes its sound to nu, and we read it as 닿는, 닿는. Here are more examples. Let's read these three on top. First one, 히읗 is a 받침 and following consonant is nu. In this case, 히읗 becomes nu sound 받침, so we read it as 좋니, 좋니. What about the second one? 히읗 받침 changes to nu sound 받침, so we read it as 놓네, 놓네. And third one, 히읗 받침 changes to nu sound 받침, so we read it as 쌌네, 쌌네. Let's take a look what happens when you see double 받침 that have 히읗 and it's followed by nu sound consonant. Double 받침 that contain 히읗 are only two. When you see this double 받침, nu sound and 히읗 together with the following nu sound, there's no more space to add another nu sound because there are two nu sounds already, right? So no complication. 히읗 받침 doesn't have a sound value in this case. It's removed. Therefore, we just pronounce only first nu sound 받침. Let's see an example here. The second syllable has a double 받침 that has 히읗, and it's followed by nu sound consonant. So 히읗 doesn't have a sound value, and we read it as 괜찮니, 괜찮니. There are three more examples on the second line. First one, 히읗 받침 is removed, so we read it as 안내. And second one, 히읗 받침 is removed, so we read it as 끝나. Third one, same. We read it as 맞니. What about this double 받침? This 받침 has a lu sound and 히읗. And it's followed by nu sound consonant. Same as the other 받침, 히읗 sound is removed in this case as well. And only lu sound 받침 is remaining. And this lu sound consonant assimilates the following nu sound. So it becomes lu sound as well. Let's see how it really works with an example. Here, 히읗 is removed and remaining lu sound assimilates the following consonant, so it becomes lu sound as well. Therefore, we read it as 알리, 알리. Three more examples at the bottom. First one, 히읗 받침 is removed and lu assimilates the following nu. So we read it as 앓는, 앓는. The second one, 히읗 받침 is removed and lu assimilates the following nu. So we read it as 끓는, 끓는. And the third one, same. We read it as 뚫라, 뚫라. 히읗 받침 also can be a mute. Yes, when it's placed in front of a circle consonant, 히읗 받침 doesn't have a sound value. Let's see an example. 히읗 is placed in front of a circle consonant, Therefore, heat becomes a mute. So we read it as 나아, 나아. Let's practice with these three examples. All these three have a heat 받침 and it's followed by a circle consonant. So heat becomes a mute. First one, we read it as 좋아, 좋아. Second one, 나은, 나은. Third one, 닿을, 닿을. When you see a double consonant 받침 that has a heat and it's followed by a circle consonant, heat becomes a mute as well. So we have to pronounce only nu sound 받침 here, but it carries over to the circle consonant. Here is an example. The second syllable has a double 받침 and it's followed by a circle consonant. So heat becomes a mute and nu sound 받침 carries over to the next syllable. Therefore, we read it as 되잖아, 되잖아. Let's practice these three. First one, heat is a mute and nu sound consonant carries over, so we read it as 많이, 많이. Second one, 괜찮아, 괜찮아. Third one, 하잖아, 하잖아. There is another double 받침 that has a heat. When it's followed by a circle consonant, exactly same thing happens. Heat becomes a mute and lu sound consonant carries over to the circle position. Here is an example. Heat becomes a mute and lu sound carries over, so we read it as 다른, 다른. Let's practice these three. First one, heat is a mute and lu sound consonant carries over, so we read it as 싫어, 싫어. Second one, 알아, 알아. Third one, 달아, 달아. That's all about heat 받침. Let's wrap it up by reading some Korean sentences. Please read it correctly. 많이 쌓아놓고 먹으면 되잖아요. 많이 쌓아놓고 먹으면 되잖아요. 끓는 물 놓지 마세요. 끓는 물 놓지 마세요. 달고 다른 집은 싫네요. 달고 다른 집은 싫네요. 댓글에 남겨주세요. Leave your answer in the comments below. Thank you. 감사합니다. 다음 시간에 다시 만나요. 안녕.